Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into the Bronze Age, looking at it through three specific lenses.
Right. We want to understand the technology itself, what problems it actually solved, and then the huge impact it had on society.
So let's start at the beginning. Before bronze, there was just metal. People found natural copper. What?
Exactly. They started fiddling with it, probably by accident. But the thing is, pure copper is pretty flimsy.
Flimsy how?
I mean, it's barely harder than wood. It's okay for maybe some ornaments, but for a real tool or a weapon, it just wasn't going to cut it. It would bend, it wouldn't hold an edge.
So that was the first big problem to solve. How do you make this stuff strong and reliable?
You invent an alloy, you start intentionally mixing things, and the magic combination was copper and usually tin. That gives you bronze.
And that wasn't just a small improvement.
No, it was a revolution. Adding a bit of tin more than doubles the durability. Suddenly, you have a metal that can hold a truly sharp edge.
But it also solved another huge problem, didn't it? The actual process of making things.
Yes, the manufacturing. Pure copper is a nightmare to cast well. It has a high melting point, and it doesn't flow smoothly.
So you get imperfections.
You get air bubbles, rough surfaces. It's just not ideal. But bronze, the alloy, actually has a lower melting point.
Which seems counterintuitive.
It does, but that lower melting point, maybe down to around 800 degrees Celsius, meant it was easier to work with. And it had this amazing fluidity.
So it would fill every tiny detail in a mold.
Perfectly, and that's when you know they're moving beyond just banging on rocks. This is real science.
And we have proof that it was science, not just happy accidents. They were codifying this knowledge.
We do. There's an incredible document called the Kaogongji, or the Six Recipes. It's basically the world's first ever guide to alloy ratios.
So it would tell you what mix to use for what object.
Precisely. It would say if you're making a sword and need a sharp edge, you need a higher percentage of tin. If you're making an axe for chopping, you use a different ratio for toughness.
That's an incredible level of technical sophistication. And this science then fueled the production methods. Let's talk about casting.
Okay, so for sheer scale, the dominant technique in ancient China was fanzu fei piece mold casting.
And this method allowed for some truly massive objects.
Massive is an understatement. Think about the humu ding. It's a single bronze vessel that weighs over 830 kilograms.
Wow.
You can't make something like that in a backyard forge. That requires a huge, coordinated workforce, massive amounts of material, perfect timing. That's state-level infrastructure.
So piece mold casting solved the problem of size. But what about detail? The really fine, intricate designs.
For that, they developed another method, the lost wax method, or Shi-La-Fei. This was the breakthrough for creating delicate, hollow, or even multi-layered objects that were just impossible with clay molds.
Okay, so they've cracked the science and the production. How does this new super metal start changing society?
Immediately, bronze becomes a symbol of power and authority.
Not just a tool, but a political statement.
Absolutely. Look at the lighting system. It was a set of rules, basically, about storing rights in vessels.
Meaning your status determined your dinnerware.
Essentially, yes. The number of bronze ding cauldrons you could own and display was strictly tied to your rank. The Son of Heaven, the Emperor, he got 9. A lower official might only get 1 or 3.
So your place in the world was literally cast in bronze,
It defined the hierarchy. And of course, that hierarchy was defended by bronze weapons.
giving a massive military advantage.
A decisive one. The Qin army, for example, used standardized 3-edged arrowheads. The manufacturing precision on these was, well, it's just astounding. Errors of only about 0.1 millimeters.
And that standardization means effectiveness.
And range, over 200 meters. This professionalized warfare and fueled the need for those big specialized casting guilds we were talking about.
And finally, what about the economy? How did it change daily life?
Well, even though bronze tools for farming were pretty rare, their efficiency had ripple effects. It started to break down older communal land systems.
And what about trade?
That's maybe the biggest impact. The raw materials, copper and tin, they're often found hundreds of miles apart.
So you had to create networks to get them.
You had to. And that demand created these huge, complex, long-distance trade routes, leading to professional miners, merchants, and casters. It built the foundation of a complex economy.
So if you connect all the dots, it's clear. The technical jump to bronze wasn't just about making better knives. It was the engine that built states, created political power, and organized society itself.
The transformation was total. And, its legacy is quite literally forged in metal. There's an inscription on a famous vessel, the Heizun, that has the phrase, lui, or dwelling in the central realm.
The central one.
It's one of the earliest appearances of the phrase Holyu, which is the modern word for China. The very concept of China was first recorded, defined, and legitimized in bronze. That's how deep the impact was.